Today on the show, Radical Ones, grab your power glove. We kick off our new summer theme with 1989's The Wizard.
It's his second time through and he hasn't even taken a hit yet. He's a wizard.
It's time to get radical.
It has begun!
This is where I start to have fun.
Well, excuse me, princess.
My name is Alice. I work for the Umbrella Corporation.
The day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
Fatality.
Shadow Demon, you shall not pass.
Hey, paisanos, it's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show!
Finish him.
Welcome back, Radical Ones, to another episode of the Radical Retro Rewind podcast. As always, I am your host, Radical Ryan Hunter, here with Rob, the movie geek himself, for our kickoff, Rob, of summer 2024, our video game summer.
Hello, Ryan. I guess I should add that I am a GAYMER gamer.
You sure are.
Yeah.
Rob and I feel like, come from the perfect generation of video games, right? We had what was there in the 80s as we were maturing and growing. We had the 90s, we had the 2000s. And because we were talking about video games this summer, I thought the best way to kick it off, Rob, would be talking about our favorite classic games.
Yes. I had fun thinking about all of these games that I used to play back in the day. It was hard to pick favorites, but there were definitely some that I played more than others.
Because you're right, there's games probably that you had that you played, but you're just like, they don't stand out anymore. They kind of just blend into the retro universe. Did you actually put down any arcade games by any chance?
No, but my relationship with arcade was kind of small. You know, like I was a Chuck E. Cheese kid.
Yes.
I didn't necessarily get to go to the arcades with friends or whatever. Like we were in playhouses. McDonald's Playhouse, Chuck E. Cheese, and played outside. I don't have any memories at this moment that I frequently went to an arcade. But I did play arcade stuff. I just didn't have anything to look forward to when I went to the arcade. The only thing that I can think of is like The Simpsons and Ninja Turtles. But other than that, I really don't have much memory, like the occasional shooting and racing game. But I did a lot of that stuff when I was older, like the Dave and Buster's and stuff like that. And anytime they had an arcade anywhere, where there'd be a bowling alley or like a bar or whatever, I would immediately go to DDR. Like that was it. I didn't play any other arcade games. It was all DDR for me.
I love this.
Yeah.
You said it right. It's so random, Rob. I remember you could just find an arcade machine back in the day, even on like a ferry or a boat, like a random, there's Mrs. Pac-Man on this boat for some reason, or like Street Fighter. So we seemed like we had the same thing, Rob. Chuck E. Cheese, their games, but I will tell you, the one that I love to this day, and I'm so pissed off because I bought it on iPhone when iPhones first came out, and now I can't play it anymore, but it is the X-Men arcade game.
Okay,
I love that.
X-Men, welcome to die.
That's all I did when I went to Chuck E. Cheese. I ran to that X-Men arcade game, and in preparation for this, Rob's other show back in the day, Movie Geek and Proud, did an episode of The Wizard. So I went back and checked that out, and him and his co-host were saying something like, when you had an arcade game, even if it was the same game, Rob, at home on like the home console, it was always different, and for some reason it was always much harder. Now, I don't know if that's because they wanted to get your coins, your quarters much more. They upped the ante, but there is definitely something with that. Games, I was always horrible at arcade games.
Yeah, I think the controls made it difficult. I think the AI made it impossible for you to get anywhere. If anything, I wouldn't think it's good business to have one person play an entire game and beat it. Like, because nobody else can play. Would you put a quarter down and be like, it's my turn next? And it's like, well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to beat the whole thing. So they just made it harder. I went to an arcade recently. We have
Yes.
one in our arts district, and these games were impossible. They were impossible. I played Moonwalker.
Help me!
Oh, yes! I played that only on the Sega, but yes.
I have never played that game in my life. I was like, how does anyone enjoy this game? It was the hardest thing ever. You had to shoot diagonally. Like, that was the only way to kill these bastards. It was just a weird thing. You know, and you only had 2 buttons, so there was really not too much strategy to it. Yeah, it was difficult. We couldn't get it anywhere. Like, we maybe made it through 3 stages, but like, yeah. The shooting game, surprisingly, I was actually better at than I was when I was younger.
I'm thinking of shooting games. I think of the House of Dead series.
Yeah, like,
all the
isn't there
time.
like an Area 51 or 54?
Yes!
I played that one. I think I played like Jurassic, and that was fun too.
Jurassic.
But yeah, I got better at reloading on time, and I was better on accuracy at the moment. So yeah, those were fun. I enjoyed those. But yeah, they're harder in the arcade.
And of course, this movie is about the Nintendo Entertainment System, Rob. So I remember, and again, it was brought up in that episode, that you were so excited to get your Nintendo and you were the last one on the block, but you did have a Nintendo. What were your favorite games on that system?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they were favorites. I mean, I guess because I played them all the time.
Yeah.
But the ones that pop up that were just repeated. So sorry if you guys don't remember these games. They're so old. Legend of Cage. It was a very colorful 2D. I don't know. It was just mesmerizing. You just played this ninja that tried to save his woman, and you just had to go from A to B. It was this long distance forest.
Yes.
And you can jump up trees and shoot ninja stars and swords. And then while in the sort of like Indian, sitting position or whatever, I forget what it's called, but like you would like jump in very long and high, jumps or whatever. But it was the music for me that was, if you were to listen to the music, it sounds so good. And so that's why I really enjoyed playing that game so much, because I love listening to the music. But it was very accomplishing to make it, because it felt very, like save your woman, defeat the enemy and like go up the towers, you would do the forest, and then sometimes like demons would try and attack you. It was a really fun game.
It's so funny. I didn't realize when you said the name, right? So I'm Googling it and I'm like, yes, this red outfit in the woods. I remember this.
Yeah, so fun. Other ones that popped up for me, Tecmo Bowl I played a lot. RC Pro-Am I played a lot. That was a racing game.
Look at you racing.
Russian Attack was another one that was just so much fun. Bubble Bobble.
Oh, that, yes, I know.
Yeah. Punch Out.
Were you good at Punch Out?
I was decent. I always made it past the soda pop guy. And then somebody from the previous level came back, advanced, and I would never be able to beat him. And so that was always my stopping point. I never beat the game, but
it's that
I loved
ducking
it.
for me, Rob. I could never do the evasive,
Dodge,
the dodge. Never.
DuckTales and Tiny Toons. Played that all the time.
I don't know which one of the DuckTales, but there is one that kind of, I feel like, had the theme down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In that 8-bit style. So I'm going to sound so cliche, but honestly, it was the game for me. It was The Legend of Zelda, the original. It started there. It was David's, right? So I saw him playing all the time. And matter of fact, he could probably tell you stories about how annoying I was as a little brother at his door when he's after school, like on the phone with his friends. And I'm like, Zelda, play Zelda, David played Zelda. I was so excited for The Legend of Zelda.
So how did you guys save that? Did you leave it on?
Zelda was one of those games, Rob. I think it's the first that had a battery backup that some still work to this day. I just Googled it again. There's actually like, whatever year it came out, still working. How is that possible?
It's wild.
Radiation. Did you ever hear of the games Adventure Island? It looked like caveman-esque character. He had a hat, and it's just like one of those games that you're always running and you have to dodge certain things. You always have to eat. You have to eat fruit, apples, to keep your life. It was one of those games, and
it does look familiar. I don't think I played it, but I definitely recognize the cover art. And I probably played it once or twice. It sounds familiar. I think if I watched a video, I would be like, yeah, I played this for sure.
And they made a lot of them too.
They did, and maybe I played one of the variations. I think
truly renting at the Blockbuster or your local video store was the thing. So, do you have any memories of Sega games that you like?
No, so Sega was a very short-lived experience for me. It ends in a tragic story. I won't get into detail, but I didn't really get into Sega as much as I'd like. SNES was more the dominant system for me. With Sega, I just played all the Sonics, including Spinball. Spinball was everything to me, and Aladdin.
Oh, Aladdin. I had Aladdin.
Yeah, but I never got into Sega as much as the other systems.
For some reason, I skipped, and Sega was my first console that was actually mine, and we skipped Super Nintendo until years later when I only bought it to play The Legend of Zelda on Super Nintendo to play that game. But this was years later, after the fact. So on Sega, Rob, there was this Captain America and the Avengers game.
Okay.
The Avengers!
Oh my god, I loved this game. I loved this game. You could pick Iron Man, Vision, and Captain America, and I want to say Hawkeye?
Yeah.
And you just play through levels. It felt like a comic book. It showed comic book covers. Always played that. And Streets of Rage 2. I will play that today. I will beat it. That's one I can actually beat still. What about, let's jump a little generation, Nintendo 64?
Yeah, with 64, that was a very dominant Mario thing for me. I played all of that stuff, and then the birth of Mario Party, which to this day is still my favorite game ever. So not ever, but it's really up there. Anything sort of unique. I know a lot of people love their Golden Eyes. I was horrible at the game, so I never got into it, but I did love the Golden Gun battles. I would play that. And that's the same with Smash Brothers. If we're not playing one-hit outs, I'm not playing. I don't want any strategy or skill. I want it to be pure luck and reflexes. And if we're not playing that, I don't want to play it. So the Golden Gun, I played that all the time. Otherwise, y'all do your thing.
I had it, GoldenEye, could never get past the first level.
Yeah, no, it was good. Pokemon Snap and Banjo-Kazooie was everything to me on 64. Aside from all the Mario stuff, I know Diddy Kong Racing was also a thing for me. I don't know why. I just got into that so much.
Was it over Mario Kart for you, 64, would you say?
No, not over it. No, I played Mario Kart more, but Diddy Kong was just sort of a refreshing racing game for me that I liked. And then there was this game called Blast Corp. And if I remember correctly, Blast Corp, let me see. I'm actually curious because I wrote it down, but I was like, did I actually? Yes, Blast Corp. So basically, it was just you, destruction, and you know how I am.
Oh, yeah. I remember this cover.
Yeah, you know how I am with that. When you get to destroy things, I just jump on it. So Blast Corp was really fun. Really, really fun.
I remember you saying when you worked in Blockbuster that Mario Party, even you had people that you saw all the time and you would end up playing with them too,
Mario
right?
Party was a great way to create community. I threw premiere parties when every Mario Party came out with a new one, and a bunch of us would get together and play it. There are a lot of games on SNES that I played.
That's true. I totally skipped that.
Well, no, I'm just trying to, because I listed some games, but I'm I can't remember if they were from Super Nintendo or if it was from 64. I can't remember. There was some Donkey Kong Country. Was that 64 or was that?
No, I think that was, I want to say it's Super Nintendo. Yeah, I think you're right. Super Nintendo.
Okay, so I did that, and then the Street Fighter. See, SNES was big on fighting games, and it was also big on movie games. I played a lot of movie games. just games that were based on movie. I played those so much on the Super Nintendo.
Batman Forever was horrible. It was the worst game I ever played.
You know what game I was like obsessed with? It was Home Alone 2.
That because you were in the hotel, right, running around.
Yes. Just things constantly being thrown at you.
Vacuum cleaners.
Yes, I was obsessed. And I played Addams Family a lot too, where you played Gomez, getting all through the house.
The one I played was the NES Fester's Quest, which is horrible. Well, I guess it's not horrible. It was hard as hell.
There's a lot of games I can geek over on this, but one game that stood out, I don't know if you'd remember this. I was obsessed. It was Uniracers. So it was basically a racing game, but you were a unicycle. And the biggest gimmick the biggest gimmick was that you did a whole bunch of tricks while you were flying in the air, and you just went through these wacky tracks, and it was so colorful and so accomplishing when you would be. It was such the best game. If you just watch a video of it, it was just so much fun to play. But yeah, you were just a unicycle.
It is so 90s looking, this cover, the bridge that you're on, and it got a 5 out of 5. So Rob is on to something.
It's really good. I loved Uniracer so much. I wish they would reboot that.
1994, Rob. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Really quickly, N64 again. I am a Zelda purist, although I haven't played any of the new ones in so many years because I'm on an Xbox now. Damn. So Ocarina of Time, of course, huge.
Yeah.
Mario Kart 64. You mentioned it, Super Smash Brothers. I got so good at that game that I was so excited to play with people. I only had one friend that I ended up playing with. But PlayStation. Did you have any PlayStation?
Did. So I bought a PlayStation, and that was my DDR phase. That was my music and dance phase, is when I got
Girls.
Yes, got the Spice Girls game. There were a lot, like PS1 and PS2 had a lot of music-based games, anywhere from like hip hop to like Dreamcast even had the Space Channel. But like there was even a game where you played a maestro, where you would conduct an orchestra in many different genres. Guitar Hero, loved that game so much. But Busta Groove was the one that started it all.
Busta Groove,
and you just had to push. Yeah, you push, configuration of buttons in a right order, and then your player will complete the move. And the soundtrack to all of these games were phenomenal. Like, the original music that they would come up with, so good. Guitar Man especially had some bangers that I still listen to today. It's just amazing.
I mean, think of music games. What was it? Papa Rapper and
yeah. There you go. Exactly. Yes.
Love those.
I played them all. Like that music genre stuff really got me when I had the PlayStation. But I played Buffy on Xbox, and I played the new Buffy on PS2. And Oddworld was my life as well. Abe was.
Oh, yes.
Me and Abe were like I felt this man so much. Like me and him were just so. I got it. I understood his plight.
Have they made a new one?
They have, but I don't know how old it is. I ran across it just sort of like browsing through PlayStation Store.
Oh my God.
They do have one, because the only one that I remember is Oddworld 1 and 2, and then they made one for Xbox that was weird. And then apparently they made another one after that. But they do have a current one that looks so hard and difficult. But Oddworld was my life. And then Metal Gear Solid was pretty tight to me too, because
never played. Isn't that crazy?
Really?
I never played that.
Metal Gear Solid was something different for me, because I never played any of that kind of stuff other than like the simple Russian attack or army stuff back in the day.
Yes.
Metal Gear was actually a really fun thing to try and do. That to me was one of those things where I was never good at executing, but I was really good at puzzle solving. So anytime that I would play these games with my friends, I would give them the controller and I would tell them what to do. do because they were just good at executing what needs to be done. I was good at the problem solving. You know, like you get to a boss level and you're like, what do you do? And then I'm like, oh, I know what you do now.
You see the
this.
pattern.
And that was my strength, but executing it couldn't do it.
So really quickly, mine, Tomb Raider 2. That's the game I wanted the PlayStation for.
Okay.
I went back and then played Tomb Raider 1. RE2.
RE2. Oh, RE2.
Resident Evil 2. I should
Yes. No, it's okay. That's gamer talk. You know, it's fine. It's just...
But that's true. People are probably like, huh? Resident Evil 2.
RE2 was on 64, apparently. Did you know? I did not know this.
And it was toned down. It was like green blood, I think you could put as an option as opposed to red, like N64 version. But yes, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. And then, Rob, there was 2 Star Wars Episode 1 games. There was one that was a full walkthrough of the movie. I wish they would put this on something till today. Like, I see people now making fun of it because it was whatever it was, and then there was another one called Jedi Power Battles that you played all of these Jedis that weren't even weren't even big parts of the first movie.
Yeah.
And then a game that I actually just replayed like 2 years ago and finished again, Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Okay.
Oh my god, that game is amazing, and it's still amazing.
Yeah. PS2 was the birth of my favorite game ever, Prince of Persia. Fun. I never played any earlier variations, but I just love the puzzle solving with this, the time travel, the rewind, and just getting from A to B. It was a very parkour game where you just had to use your parkour skills to get and acrobat your way through all of these puzzle mazes. You minimal collections because I'm OCD, and if I have to collect stuff and I can't get them all, I get flustered and I quit. I was like, I can't play on until I get the other stuff, and then it would be too hard to get it, and so I would just get stuck. I can't move on. I
gotta catch them all.
I have to get 100%, otherwise I just get flustered. So this game didn't really have that aspect. Like, you didn't need to collect all of these tokens and symbols and things. You just needed to survive, and the fighting was so much fun. It was very Batman Arkham on how like slow motion it would be, but with sword fighting, it was great. It was great. I love that game. Very fun.
And now there is a million of them, right? There's like Prince of Persia this, Prince of Persia that. You mentioned it earlier, like in this generation, it was Buffy and Buffy Chaos Bleeds on the GameCube because we got to play as Xander and Willow and Faith. And, you know, it just loved that game, and I'm still waiting for the damn Charmed game, PlayStation, GameCube. Is there any other games in your history that stand out?
I mean, like GameCube and Wii, they were, you know, good systems in between. Like I did the Mario Tennis and Golf. Those were fun. Just stuck with a lot of music games. I did some of the Resident Evils as well. I enjoyed those to a certain degree. Oh my God, I just thought of something. So Resident Evil had 4 discs, right? Because you can like switch them out or whatever. There was this game where you played this kid and he went into this shadow world, and in the shadow world, he had powers, and he could, oh my God, it was like you can alter the environment, I think, but you just
that sounds good.
There was no like point scale. There was no, there was no life health points. It was a completely just clear screen, as if you were watching an animated movie, and you just needed to get from point A to point B, and it took like 3 to 4 discs to play, and it was a very big monumental game graphic wise that needed to be completed. And he, you know, through imagination, like he built his own like gun or whatever. It was just his imagination, right? Like he would just play, and then all of a sudden he just gets warped into this world where all of the things that he was thinking about, it's a little, I shouldn't say it's like Kingdom Hearts, but like you took your gun and it actually turned into a ray gun, and this was the special gun that would like kill these shadow gobbly things, and you would neutralize them. You wouldn't kill them, so they would rejuvenate and then like come after you, and then you had to make it to a certain point, and you also had a dog with you that would accompany you the whole time. This game is called Heart of Darkness.
Oh.
I loved this game so much. like if you watch a trailer, like graphically, this was like an accomplishment for the system, and it was just so beautifully well done, and it was very accomplishing because they did make it difficult to play, but I was obsessed with this game. Oh my god, I can't remember. I forgot all about Heart of Darkness. I'm gonna have to watch some YouTube videos after this.
2D scrolling puzzle platform.
Yeah, I'm all about the
1998.
puzzles. Loved Heart of Darkness, so good.
So with these games, I think the thing that comes to mind, of course, is the memories that we had of the time of our lives. Some of these games are truly lost to time unless you actually have the physical hookup. I feel like Nintendo, Sega, there's a lot of emulators and things like that, but I feel like maybe the PS2s and these games are probably not as readily available, unfortunately.
2 tickets to California, please.
That's $226.
Well, we only have $27.30. What does that get us?
Nowhere.
Corey's taking his brother Jimmy on a ride.
These two boys already traveled more than 80 miles across the state.
We've hired someone to find him.
What's his problem? He's just shy.
But Jimmy's got a secret
You got 50,000 on Double Dragon?
that could make this the ride of their lives.
Look at him. He's a wizard. He's headed for the video championship.
This guy?
What is that?
Power glove.
Yeah, well, just keep your power gloves up front, right?
With a touch of romance
I am not kissing a boy.
and a ton of trouble.
That's huge.
We're too late.
Sorry about that.
You maniac!
They'll get there any way they can.
Hey, here we come!
It's Jimmy! It's Jimmy!
Come here! Stop them! Hey!
Now, what do you think you're doing to him?
All his life, you've been telling him to do what you want him to do. How about once you ask him what he wants to do, huh?
Now,
Video Armageddon.
it's going to take a lot of guts,
You can do it!
a little magic,
You're the best!
and the wizard, Fred Savage. The Wizard.
Today's first movie in our video game summer is The Wizard from 1989. It is described as a film that follows 3 children, the youngest of whom is emotionally withdrawn but gifted at playing video games, as they travel to California to compete in a video game tournament. And this is, of course, known for its product placement of Nintendo and the official introduction of Super Mario Bros. 3 to North America. And Rob, Universal, which I guess is another sponsor. It was a Universal movie, but I thought this would be a great movie to start the summer, Rob, because it's kind of like, it's a video game themed movie, but it's more than that. So this is, I felt like, a way to ease into things, because it's a bit of a drama, too. It's a little heavy at some point.
Yeah, it does have a very heavy story, and I think for Universal to try and promote Nintendo and get kids to see this movie that talks about video games, for them to come up with the story that they did to, complement it, I think is very, very good, because video games are an escape, right? So
Yes.
while we are dealing with this drama-filled storyline, which again is a very important one, the games helped ease and comfort and sort of help us get through the movie over those heavy
Yes.
parts of the movie. But I mean, easily you could have made it all about the video games. While they were front and center throughout the plot, it still was second in line to the characters. I felt, to me, there was still more of a dramatic story rather than the actual playing of the video games. I just think it was a way to help connect this family who has been torn apart because of a tragic event. And I just like the creativity that this movie was able to accomplish something so real and grounded while still handling the escapism and the product placement of
Yes.
these games without really forcing. I mean, I don't know. In the 80s, I don't think I really cared. Now, I think if I saw this movie, I'd be like, God, they are just shoving it down our faces, blah, 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 capitalism. But like, for me, I felt that it was I think it was placed in there well.
It gets that big criticism, of course. Like we said, it's a product placement, but you said it right. I think the drama, and I would say this is more of a road trip runaway movie than video. I mean, yes, it's a video game movie, but to me, yes, that's second placement. And I get it. For the 2 seconds we see them playing Nintendo, okay. But it is part of that generation. Like you said, it was an escape and it did further the plot. So yeah, I didn't mind it at all. And honestly, maybe because I like this movie, but I didn't mind it this time either.
Yeah, first thing I thought of was that I am very, very, a part of me is very, very jealous that I could not experience this in the theaters. I was too young to really also understand a lot of the Nintendo products that was in here. Like, I can't remember if I went crazy over the Power Glove or hearing about Mario Brothers 3. Like, to be in the theater and discover this in the theater, like, there is a new game out there that apparently was released a lot earlier, but it didn't do so well, so they didn't make it to the US for a while, which is why we were late getting it, and the fact that they already had it ready and for this movie.
But what a way to unveil it, right? Like,
Yeah.
what a way. Oh, Super Mario Brothers 3!
Super Mario Brothers 3!
But I wasn't old enough to really buy my own game, so to have this vast knowledge of the games that they were playing, it was just the fact that it was video games. But to be able to watch this with knowledge, I think would have been such a treat to be able to experience this movie in theaters. And it kind of sucks that I wasn't old enough to really appreciate everything that was going on,
Yes, I could totally picture what you're saying, the hype, and then going to the theater and saying, oh, this is me, this represents me. Nintendo, Zelda, Super Mario Brothers, all the games that they mentioned, Ninja Turtles, oh god.
What's funny about that is here in LA, if I remember correctly, because as I was looking up the movie, I believe there's going to be a screening of this next week at Alamo Draft House here in LA. And I'm kind of tempted to go. If they do full price, I probably won't go. But that's hilarious that the timing is just hilarious.
So now that you mentioned it, the whole entire time I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, was this the inspiration of why Rob wanted to move to California? California!
I know, right?
This is
all
like,
these
okay,
movies, like
I see
Clueless was in California. Everybody wanted to go to California, so
California.
Sure, kid. We all want to go to California.
Rob's like, I need to get myself to California.
You remember those TV shows where they were like, we're going to film on location and we're going to California? That was such a big deal. Facts of Life just went to California, and I'm like, oh my God. I was like, all of this is garbage because Hollywood sucks.
Well, what season are you in, by the way? 8?
The last one. I'm in the last one now. It's season 9.
He's ready. I know off camera he is ready for that show to be
over. The Hollywood
right?
Hall of Fame, all of that is just so overpopulated, and it's so crowded, and it's dirty still. It's like whatever. But back in the day, you would see footage like this all the time. You're like, I want to go to California. I want to look at the stars. And so yeah, but never in my life have I seen those dinosaurs yet. Still haven't seen them, which are the same from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Still the same dinosaurs, I think.
You set it up perfectly. I was going to ask you if you went to see the dinosaurs ever since you've been there. So how far is that from you would say, about you think?
It's a very good question. Let me see if it's possible for me to look it up. But do you remember the first time you saw this movie?
It was, like you said, Rob, definitely out of the movie theaters, because I was even younger at that point, so I must have been like early 90s, like 92, 93, I want to say. And I used to love Fred Savage. Of course, he was like the it person after Little Monsters and the Wonder Years. Yeah, but honestly, it was like Little Monsters for me because I watched that film all the time. But you know me, Rob, I'm over Fred Savage now since light of his tainted reputation. I'm so disappointed in him because I was rooting for him, Rob. I was rooting for him. He seemed like such a good kid.
He grew up too fast. Okay, so this is in Cabazon, California. It's about a 2-hour drive from where I'm at. So yeah, there's absolutely no way that I would have been able to go see this. World's biggest dinosaurs. Yeah. So that would have been fun. Maybe one day I'll take a drive somehow, but.
And you're going to go inside and sit with some old photos. We kind of touched on the plot, but this movie opens in the most dramatic way possible, I feel like. If you never saw this movie before, you might say, am I watching the right movie? Is this the movie about the video games? Because it is this kid who is...
Jimmy Woods, Luke Edwards.
Jimmy Woods, thank you. Did you see what Luke looks like now, Rob?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Luke Edwards hasn't forgotten his past. As a matter of fact, his friends still call him the Wizard.
Oh, that's amazing.
In real life.
I love that.
Thanks to his ability to pick up a game I've never played before and whip their asses at it. So is this a real skill that he actually has? Because I love this.
It could be. It could be. I love that.
And he is a video game fan. So he hasn't done much, but he plays this very silent. And a matter of fact, I mean, I don't want to say I know the condition, but I feel like he might be autistic in some ways.
So what I gathered was that he was having PTSD. And
okay.
Yeah, I don't think he was mentally challenged. I just think he has been shocked by losing his sister and chose just not to talk as much.
A twin sister.
And his one goal was to go to this specific destination. And so, yeah, just trauma. It's just heavy trauma. But he wasn't mentally challenged or anything. I don't think so.
Because I know people who are slightly autistic might be like very good at things. And I was like, is that his thing? But it makes sense. So he does have this twin sister who drowned and he's gone kind of silent, I want to say. Besides California, it's not Silent Hill, thank God.
2 tickets to California, please.
You got someplace specific in mind, or would you just like to be dumped at the border?
Is Los Angeles specific enough?
Is that screaming Silent Hill?
Just
Silent
usually
Hill.
one word, conversations, never any full sentences. Well, he did have one full sentence, but which is like one of my favorite parts of this whole movie. We'll get into that. But doesn't this story sound very familiar to you in the horror genre? That also caused the living twin to go insane.
Are you talking about Jeepers Creepers?
No, Sleepaway Camp.
Duh. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes, Sleepaway Camp. Angela.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, that woman has not stopped making that face in how many years?
And does it perfectly every time.
Oh, I love her for that. So we have that, and we have Fred Savage, who is his stepbrother, half brother, and Christian Slater is just, for whatever reason, is the older brother in this. That
for whatever reason you didn't get it.
No, I mean, I appreciated it, but for me at this time, I'm like, he's done Heathers, right? He's done like other movies. I'm like, he seems like vaguely like him and Beau Bridges or whatever. Like they could have been done without in this movie, honestly.
What? Oh my God. Okay.
I mean, I like them, but to me, it's like that could have been anybody.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So, okay, I see what you're saying. So you're saying the characters were needed, but
yes, the characters were definitely needed. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's like it's Christian Slater, but that could have been.
I guess the way that I took it is that they both look very Utah, so they need to be casted.
Actually, yeah, that's perfect, actually. And then we have Miss Troop Beverly Hills / I'll never forgive her from the Golden Girls.
Golden Girls, I know. Golden Girls.
Roses, Bear, and Held It Hostage.
She was on Designing Women, too.
Jenny Lewis as Haley. Mm-hmm. And she's grown up to be a singer now and things. So she's doing things. She actually plays, to me, I like her character in this movie a lot. I don't normally like her, Rob.
I liked her character. I thought she was a tough person, definitely took care of herself. She did what she had to do. I just found this time around, there were some things that were really irritating me.
Tell me.
She just felt a little bit like above it all. Because she was still trying. I don't know. I'm not going to analyze her because, that's not my profession. All I know is that she loved putting her hands on these boys anytime she wanted with no repercussions, and it pissed me off. It was making me so angry. And some of the things that she would get offended over, and maybe I need a woman to tell me what those things were, because some of this stuff didn't need the reaction. Like her punching him in the face was the weirdest reaction. I don't understand what that was for.
That was like, it's like out of nowhere, like, yeah, I'm gonna knock you out, Fred Savage.
But there were other times where, she would kind of push. I don't know. There was just things like, stop touching them. Like, you are not their mother. It was just, I don't know. Some of
This
it was
girl was
just
obsessed with touching, evidently. She knew what to say later on.
But she did understand somewhat of the world around her. I mean, they kept getting scammed. Like, every time she was like, yeah, we can trust them. And then they would literally turn on them every time. And I'm like, you keep putting this little boy into danger. And it's starting to get irritating. Like, some of these scenes, while they were done very comedically, were super dangerous. Just very scary. They could have easily just gotten like heavily kidnapped or beaten. I mean, how many times were they mugged? Like, there's just so much of it.
This is so true, Rob. So first off, the one I'm thinking of right away, like you're saying, the danger is they're on this like farming thing with cows, and literally 2 grown men find out that they have $100 or more. And they literally hold these kids up, and unbelievable.
Haley, are you sure about these guys? Don't you worry about them. I'm telling you, I know truckers. They got a code. A code?
If you have PTSD, you're going to be worse by the end of this journey.
Some of the most mugging I've ever seen for the littlest of change. Like, those 3 bullies chased them down in their pickup for $20.
And a little extra, I guess they stole the rest of it, and a hat.
Just like, Jesus, this is so dangerous. But I really like her character. We don't get to see many characters like that from a female, and so I enjoyed that she, held her own, amongst all the men in the movie. And she definitely made a presence. She had great lines, she was a very focal point of this movie. But she's already in people's business as if she's some good Samaritan. She goes back there, tell me what you're doing or I'm going to scream. I'm like, who are you? Why are you involving yourself with me? Go away.
I'm Haley. If you don't tell me what you're doing, I'm going to scream. Could you swim quietly? What, do you think I'm stupid? I saw you look at that cop. It's his problem. He's just shy. Shy a few bricks, I'd say. No, he's okay. Just kicked ass on Double Dragon. Get out of here. Him? Yeah, I could wax your tail. No way. Want to bet? How much? $6.70.
It's so funny because I had the complete opposite this time with her. I usually, like I said, I didn't like her. And even back in the day, I didn't like her character. And this time I'm kind of like, okay, I'll take it. But you're right. From the beginning, tell me what I need to know or I'm going to scream and pretend that you touched my breasts, possibly.
That was the line. I remember as a kid, I loved that scene so much because it was just so easy to get him in trouble.
He touched my breast!
So funny.
And it was the perfect timing because it's okay. So for anyone who doesn't know, there's this also because the kids disappeared. The mother hired like a Dog the Bounty Hunter. I want to say
he's Dog
crazy.
Oh my god! For anybody who knows who Dog the Bounty Hunter is, give yourself an applause. I cannot believe you did that.
I don't know why that came to my head.
I watched that show for a good 2 seasons. I was so into that shit.
What a
bounty hunter!
What a group!
I make my money by bringing kids in, and I don't make it if someone else brings a kid in first. You catch my drift, huh? So let's not be getting in my way, okay?
Yeah, so she hires this bodyguard, and he is after them. That's the whole thing. He's trying to get the kid. No, actually, he don't care about the other 2. He just wants the youngest. He's taken at this point, and this is inside of this. What the hell is that? A kid's Vegas?
Yeah, so like in a casino, sometimes they'll have a section where kids can kind of just do their own thing, and they just have an arcade. But of course, they give it the aesthetic as if they are in a casino, even with the cigarette girl. I wanted that.
It was like an underage though cigarette girl. It was like a young girl too, and she's selling bubble gum.
Yeah, it just gives off the illusion that they're adults. I mean, I get it, but also it's the 80s too. I'm surprised that she was able to be employed, but I wonder if it was a different floor, if you're allowed to have that in the same building, or if it needed to be somewhere separate. But you were able to kind of do the thing. They were just blocked off, I guess.
It's probably now too. It's it was probably right across from the smoking section. It's probably flying into those kids, and they all have secondhand smoke.
Yeah.
But you're right, that line, that's the one that always stands out. And then him later on, she didn't even have them. Like, oh my God. So she also, Rob, she says this line that her mother was a showgirl who had great legs.
Yeah. Elizabeth Berkey. That was a prequel.
So do you think, though, half the reason she's like this is maybe because she has that secret that she wanted to say that she had this amazing house and things like that? Maybe she's very defensive for that reason, but clearly she's forcing herself into these two's lives because she needs it as well.
Well, I mean, I think, I don't know if she was ashamed of her dad, but it was obviously a storyline that just wasn't something that you would brag about, right?
Right.
Like, and of course you would create these stories to make your current life feel a little bit better. I mean, and that's just kind of how it is. And so, yeah, she told the story of whatever, you fake it till you make it, apparently. I don't believe in that sentiment, but that's what she was doing. And it gave her the confidence to just go around doing whatever she wanted. So it helped, I guess.
With her truck driver friends, they come up a few times. Although, like Rob said, one time she wanted to trust these men, and then that's what mugged her. But she does actually have these friends.
Yes.
Other things that are going on as well, just to give you an idea of this, there is this character, Lucas, and he is known as, this video game master. He carries them around with him in a bag.
So, you the wizard?
No, he is.
This guy? I don't get it. Is he like a poster child for someone?
For your information, butthead, he's headed for the video championships in Los Angeles.
Is that right? Well, let's just see how good he is then. Guys, pick any game you want. I'm good at all of them. I have 97 of them.
You know all 97 of them?
And Rob, of course, the famous scene in this movie is the focus of the power glove, which famously never worked correctly. It looks amazing because they kind of open it in this case and it looks like, it looks amazing in this movie. Like it
does.
Works.
It does. He advertised it very well. Like he goes, the power glove, and then he opens his hand like perfectly. Yeah, he advertised it very well.
I love the power glove. It's so bad.
Yeah, well, just keep your power gloves off her, pal, huh?
But this is the part of the movie where it turned into a fantasy film for me because there is no way that power glove hooked up and worked correctly for the entirety of the round. I was like, this is some fake shit. It is fake news, and I will not believe it. That should have never worked. I played that crap, and it had this weird-ass antenna you had to set on your TV. The shit never worked. It never connected. It always, that was some fake shit that never happened. Never happened.
How did Nintendo get away with this? Because there's two famous accessories. There is this power glove that didn't work, and then there, of course, is Rob, the other Rob, who's not on this show, the robot, who also never worked. David had Rob, and there was only one game. It was Gyro something.
Yeah.
I want to say Gyro Mastery, and he never worked either. How did they get away with selling all these freaking accessories that barely worked? Oh, just must be your system, kid.
But yeah, he was the rich kid because his dad owned a diner. I'm like, I don't know how you got that rich, but apparently because he owned the restaurant that they were at, I was like, okay, he has all 97 games.
Oh,
so,
yes.
Yeah, all 97 of them.
And he knows them all.
With his goons. He had goons. Oh my God.
Which later on, you right? You saw him, Tobey Maguire with a mullet.
Yeah, Tobey Maguire's first ever film with no lines was that he came in as one of the last goons to ever be on screen towards the end of the movie. He just crazy.
Smiles.
You can easily look it up, folks. Google it. It's wild. This is literally his first movie. So this movie it was hilarious that the way that they created this sort of platform and environment for them to showcase all of these video games, right? Because there were arcades everywhere, any store, antique shop, gas station, no matter where you went, there was some game you could play. Right, even at this bus station, as you saw, and no matter the age or the gender, there was somebody playing an arcade game in almost every scene.
Yes.
And I don't know how realistic this is, but I just thought it was funny how they just slide this in there, especially those two like stock salesmen.
Businessmen.
Yeah, businessmen who are like off there on their lunch break playing games and like gambling with kids. Like, oh, I'm totally better than a freaking kid at video games. Are you kidding me? Why would they ever underestimate Jimmy? I don't know how that scam worked. He is a little boy. Of course he's going to be better at games than anybody.
That's great. That's looking great. That's far out. Great. That was a good one. Good shot. There it goes. Good.
Not bad. Not bad.
Thanks.
You got some skill.
Some? What do you mean, some?
Oh, my softness, not a challenge. Now my brother over here, now he could beat you.
Go on.
Had those kids been, let's say, growing up, those men in the 80s, and then they were older men in a 90s, 2000 movie, you could have said, okay, yeah, they played video games in the 80s, and now they're grown up. This is like the beginning. Yes, okay, Atari and stuff, but you're right. Businessmen at this age were not, as far as we know, playing arcade games.
So what did you think about that? So like Nick, the brother, played video games. We had all these people in these arcades.
The father.
Yeah, the father got into it, which I think was lovely. I can't wait to get to them. But yeah, what do you think about this world and that they created that everybody is like into video games? Did you feel that was realistic or just for the movie?
I mean, I think it's especially more on point now. I feel like there are so many gamers of all generations and ages. I mean, there's a grandmother, I think, out there that plays YouTube plays video games, and she's in her 90s. So I like that. You had mentioned on Movie Geek and Proud the competition and having one of the final contestants be a girl, woman.
Yes, there were a lot of female contestants in Armageddon, and I love that.
So I think that's genius because honestly, I know girls growing up in my school that were playing video games. Yeah, it was a quote unquote like boy thing, but no, girls have always played video games. So yes, I loved that they were competing as well.
Yeah,
the generations. I think that was part of maybe the commercial aspect of look, even you can play it. Parents, buy the Power Glove. It's bad. No, it really is.
It's so bad. That's what he said. Oh, he was so good, but just so cheesy.
So, speaking of him, I looked him up too, Rob. Lucas, the young man, in 2004, he was charged and sentenced to 10 years probation for child.
Stop.
And now has his own spot on the New York sex offenders list.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And he's trying to, as of lately, he's been trying to return to the limelight with his meme-worthy Power Glove thing. So
really?
Yes. So Lucas grew up to be a villain, and I just have to mention this. I sent Rob a video earlier. There is a YouTube, Instagrammer, TikTok woman. You may know her out there, Radical Ones. This is the one that always wakes up her boyfriend, husband as a different character. This woman looks exactly like Lucas. I swear she is his long lost sister. The woman annoys the hell out of me too, by the way. So maybe that's why. If you know, you know. So yeah, it's funny that a lot of these actors in this movie, besides like, of course, the main ones, did nothing else after this.
Yeah, there were a lot of one hits in here. So here's what I do enjoy between these two parents, as well as sort of the dynamic they have around Jimmy. Like, first of all, Jimmy's known to run away, so I don't really understand why these two parents never wanted to spend time with this kid.
Look, he just picks up his little lunch pail. What is in that thing? And off he goes. I mean, he can go anywhere. Downtown, the canyons.
They never wanted to be around him, and then every time they turn around, it's time for dinner. Where's Jimmy? Oh, he's gone again.
Without the
only time you want to see him is when you have to feed him. Otherwise, go off and do whatever you like. You have
to feed him.
I don't know what's going on, but here's what I did respect was that there were multiple scenes where they all could have easily looked into his lunch pail. and they all respected him.
Yes.
And said, leave him alone. That is his. We don't know what's inside, but it is his. We don't touch it. Leave him alone. I love that. I mean, he would also go berserk if anybody tried to touch it. But they're his parents. They could do whatever the hell they want. But they all chose to let him have his thing. And I thought that whatever way that it
that's because, like you said, she didn't even know unless he had to eat dinner. So she didn't care.
But anytime it was opened, everybody was like, we don't know what's in that thing. I didn't know what was in there. Even,
Corey, too, as a brother. Yeah, you would
Corey
think he would
easily done it. But he's like, I'm just as surprised as you are. I just thought that was a very nice thing that they just allowed him to have his thing,
I agree. And what Rob is talking about is the character is always carrying around this yellow, broken ass looking lunchbox, but it is filled with his dead twins, her shoes, photos, probably it looks like pictures she might have drawn and things like that.
Jennifer. What are they? I always wonder what he had in that thing. It was her.
That part is brutal. That's why I don't fault it, for being so much video game, because this is a serious subject that they're talking about. Like, we're not talking about dead siblings usually in kids' well, maybe in the 80s.
So this is actually a good way to bring up the question then. So do you believe that this movie is a kid's film or a young adult one? Because if you look it up, let me see if it'll say family friendly or just family whatever.
Yeah, good question. If it's family or...
What do you think? Do you feel that this is a kid's movie? It says adventure comedy drama, so it's not family friendly. It doesn't look like, but I mean...
I would have thought it was sold as a family-friendly movie for sure. Again, to quote your episode on Movie Geek and Proud, one of your co-hosts on there mentioned they watched it with their child and they liked it. So that gave me hope. But if you would have asked me that yesterday before re-listening to your episode, I would have said, I don't think any kids are going to like this damn movie. Even at the time, I think it was maybe we're locked into that because we know that kind of generation.
Yeah.
I feel like we borderlined on things. Almost we did Return to Oz on this show. I feel like it borderlines on terror and things that are so adult, but also it's supposed to be for everybody.
Yeah.
Because Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
Because, would Nintendo have put their seal of approval on this if they didn't think it was they're family friendly. Universal, family friendly.
Yeah, well, it didn't put Nintendo in a bad light surrounding the family drama, so I guess they were looking out for that kind of stuff. But it also says a lot about no matter how adult the themes may be, if you put a kid in there that you could sort of simulate yourself with and go through the movie, then kids could possibly relate to the journey or enjoy it because they see another kid experiencing it. So it comes up. But I mean, if you look at the cover art or whatever, it doesn't say family, road trip or adventure. They were going through some hard stuff. So,
matter of fact, Corey had to break him out of the Friday the 13th 5 camp / institution because you could have met a barbecue, you could have stolen everything in this place, and not a damn soul would have noticed anyone was missing. I never saw anything like that.
You're talking about putting him in a home.
That's Christine's decision. She has custody now, you know that.
Did they go missing very easily in the 80s?
I guess so. I mean, but it was really hard to, track them all, right? We didn't have cell phones or anything like that. So that was
a nurse
it.
At the door, damn it. But it was just amazing that he took him out of this institution. And I actually did love their relationship, Corey, as that brother, because he held his hand, he guided him, he was very protective, like you said. Those people, they got shut down for the money from the arcade. He tried to protect him when they took his lunchbox because he knew how much, that meant to him. So I did like that little dynamic.
Well, go ahead. Play.
Really quickly, I just want to mention there's 2 songs that stand out. The Right Stuff, New Kids on the Block, and the one that really always makes me feel like it's this movie is Send Me an Angel. I love that song.
Yeah, the 2 montage songs I really, really enjoy. I still listen to them today. That was definitely a huge nostalgic part, was just this more than once New Kids on the Block theme.
Yeah.
But also just the use of a map I just thought was wild to me. So wild.
Are you able to read maps, by the way? Like, were you
No.
able back in the day?
No. I know there's something with longitude, latitude things, and, but having to open one up and literally find exactly where I'm at, there's no way. There's no way. I did MapQuest. They gave me directions. That's all I got. That's all I know. Tell me, is Dairy Queen a thing still?
It is, I think, but I know of course I know of Dairy Queen, but have I ever yet to be the one? Nope, never. I think they redid them though, Rob. I feel like they kind of revamped them.
I just don't see any ads for them ever anymore.
Never.
So I just always wonder if it's a thing or if they just stay open just to stay open.
So along that lines too, even the Hostess Wonder Bread truck. Now Wonder Bread went away for a little while. Do you remember that? And then another brand bought it because they've stopped making Wonder. So that would have been a thing of the past too at some point.
We have to ask, are you Twinkies or you a ho-ho guy like Corey?
The last time I had a Twinkie, it was so disappointing because it was stale. Back in the day, I would have went Twinkies, Rob. You?
Yeah, no, Twinkies for sure. But I wasn't a ho-ho person ever. It was the Hostess cupcake for me.
Oh, with the little design on it with the frosting.
Thing. Yeah, I was more of that than, because I would do that and the vanilla one too, the one that wasn't brown but it was like orange yellowy or whatever. I think that was vanilla or lemon, or no, not lemon. I think it was
orange.
Just vanilla.
It was like an orange flavor, like orange, a light orange.
Kind of yeah, so I did that in Twinkies. Those were my things. I did not do ho-hos. Yeah. Never.
I think Twinkies stopped for a little while too, and then they were bought by another company. So in another 20, 30 years, if these companies will survive. They end up at Universal Studios, which I have yet to be to the California one. I finally got to go to the Florida one on a work trip about 5 years ago. And I got to see it for like a few hours, unfortunately, but I love that this film captured a moment in time where that classic, because I think of anyone who grew up at the time will think of the advertisements with the King Kong and the E.T. ride and things like that. So I love that this was a time capsule of even Universal Studios, because, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if I feel like they revamped that. It burned down the King Kong thing, but I think they revamped it even further.
I mean, they have a Universal Monsters store, so all of that is kept in one place. But as far as them gradually just going around the park during the day, mind you, is not a thing. I haven't been on the tour before, so I couldn't really compare it even today, but it's still thriving and full of people, and they're just expanding their worlds basically. But a lot of the people walking around in costumes, you don't see that, and I think the times have just changed. I don't know if there was ever a moment where it just got too dangerous to walk around in those costumes, but now they just have sections where you get in line and you take pictures, but they don't go around just saying hi to people like they would on Disneyland. So what you're seeing in there just doesn't really happen as much anymore.
Or being able to get off a ride and then go into the mechanics below.
We're not going to talk about that. And that's what I think is hilarious, because Universal is like advertising the shit out of their brand, right? But you're also saying that it's super easy to go back there and like wreak havoc and whatnot. I just thought that was so irresponsible.
Flames. There was fire around them, flying up around them, and they're just like, and
that
then
would never happen.
And then it leads Rob into the amphicenter when they finally get to that freaking Gameageddon or whatever the hell.
Armageddon, yeah. I just want to briefly talk about sort of the heavier themes in this movie. Was dealing with the grief of this child passing away, and then just the dynamic of the family just being completely apart from one another. Like Corey, again, continuously trying to get his dad to give a shit about anything and everything. But it was moments where Nick, and this is what I liked about their parts in the movie, was that we always got these little snippets of him trying to connect with the dad, who is disassociated from anything family, right? Like he's just going by. And if it wasn't for Jimmy running away in this trip, like these two wouldn't really have a reason to speak to each other, let alone try and get along and remember that they were once a family, right? So it was when they were in bed together and he's reminiscing about pictures, and he brings up California, and like that was one of our happiest times together, which is, you know, comes up later in the movie, and he's just like, look, I gotta go to bed, and he's like, I can't even talk to my own dad. So like you see them argue and like go at each other all the time, but at the end of the day, like this man wants a relationship with his dad, and like he is constantly getting the layup, and he just fumbles every single time. He just will not take the bait. And these kids are constantly trying to reach out to him. He's like, I can't even have a conversation with my dad. And then what happens? The dad sort of goes into their world and starts playing games. And it's just, I just thought that that was a well-needed sort of thing, you know, as a filler to the video game stuff, to just like show that like this family needs to be put back together again. And this kid who they just will not try any harder to connect with is the one that's doing it all. And I just thought it was a really nice way for those two to bond together, and to also show that Beau Bridges, you know, who got emotional. I thought that was awesome as well, to just have this grown man cry and on camera and not have it be a thing. Like, you know, I just, you know, there was a heavy bro masculinity thing with him and his feud with the, you know, the bounty hunter guy. But other than that, he was a very sensitive guy, you know, and I thought that was also kind of cool to have.
Pop, I think we got it. Wait a second. I'm in the 6th Palace of Hyrule. Yeah! I got past the River Devil. Terrific. What the hell are you doing? I had the magic key. I got the cross. I was closing in on the barbarian.
Beau Bridges and his brows. The co-starring role. You said it beautifully, Rob. I think this film does give us moments like that, even showing that this family is a little, or a lot, dysfunctional. When Corey was talking to him earlier saying, they're going to put him in an institution, you know, like, don't you care? And he's completely detached. I do like that. And that's why I really say this is a drama over anything. I keep coming back to drama.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes, as I mentioned earlier. So like we were talking about, Jimmy doesn't necessarily say a lot, right? It's usually just like one word stuff. Corey and Haley go at it. They're arguing. They're like, I don't want to do this anymore. We're going home. This is over. Like he isn't getting better. He's still acting weird and blah, blah, blah. They're like, I don't want to.
He builds things, and he started building things with them. So he was like, oh no.
He's like, I'm done. So they're both like distraught, and they're like, you know, this journey is over. And then Jimmy says,
Corey, I don't want to quit.
This is, I think, the only full sentence he said. And I just felt like it was just the sweetest moment ever. And they both were shocked and was just like, we're not quitting. We're going to do this. If you want to play, then we're playing. And it's just, he showed that even though he's so stoic and doesn't show much emotion, like this boy is really having a good time, and he loves being with his brother. And I just love when he said that. I just loved it. It was like one of my favorite parts of this whole movie after this rewatch. It was just so good.
It ain't like I need you, weasels, you know. And you don't have to be acting like you need me. What's the matter with you? Yesterday, with Lucas, like I was something special to you. Look, Haley, all I said, I told you, this is a business deal. I'm not going to be responsible for making him more of a basket case.
What was that subplot that she at one point goes, don't you get it? He don't like me or something like that, or he doesn't want me here. I never got that. And then it's like never...
It was, you didn't get that? It was like plain as though. So he acts like they're together. Oh yeah, keep your hands off her pile. And he puts his arm around her. And Jimmy looks at him like, bitch, and was like, I'm not winning no money for you. Like, I'm out.
He's like, I took that of him like boys and girls stuff.
No,
it makes more sense
like,
now.
He's too grown. He knows that as soon as you lose your brother to women all the time. Every time. It is not without fail. If you get with her, you are no longer paying attention to me. It was supposed to be me and you. So he saw that and was like, this bitch, and you for making me play. I'm not going to be your little, little dancing monkey just so you can show off in front of your friends. Like, we're not doing this. So I'm out. Done. And so she tried to reach for him, and she was like, don't touch me. Don't touch me. I don't like you. You're taking my brother away from me. And she got it. That's the thing, is like, she got it. She understood that. And,
she was street smart.
Yeah. So that's what, I thought it was very obvious that, yeah, he did not like her at the
But
moment.
then was it over after that?
I mean, they didn't really follow up on it. I mean, I don't think they really need to, because again, it was, plain, it was obvious. But I think it just kind of took time to just let the dynamic just kind of sit where it was. And I don't think he ever really tried that again. So
first off, I see her as older for some reason. I don't know why. But seeing Fred Savage trying to play his game on this girl, I don't know. I could have did without that too. Like, I get it.
Way too grown for their age in this movie. I mean, the dialogue alone and the expression on their faces, they were just like agitated adults, like, God, Bale's again. Like, they just really was like going through it in life. And I do want to mention some of the cameos that I noticed in here. So when they were signing up for preliminaries and the guy, move it. And he was like,
he was great. Pipe somebody up, please.
You remember him, right?
Let's move it, kid.
Hi. Hi. We're here to register.
Good.
Yeah, my name is Jimmy Woods.
Jimmy Woods.
What game is it? What game are they playing?
Well, for the prelims, we're playing Ninja Gaiden. Hey!
He knows Ninja Gaiden. We're in. It's great.
You're in. Fantastic. Pin us to his back and hustle it on in there. You're blowing it. You're late. Move it.
I recognized his face, but I could not.
He is a charmed alum. He was he had a very, very small part. He was in Oh My Goddess. He's the one that let them out, and then he died.
That's why I okay.
He was also Leroy / Grumpy on Once Upon a Time.
Oh, so he's done other things then. Well,
yes.
Charm, that's enough for us. But
yeah, that is him.
I liked him as a hype person. Like, I liked that great. They were kind of like, yeah, kids, go. Even like the host, I appreciated his enthusiasm for the kids too.
So the host is also very familiar too. He was Dr. Moore, I believe, from Nightmare 5. He was the one.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. And he also played the bald villain from Scooby-Doo. He was the one that tried to resurrect the demon. Do you remember he would go around?
I didn't even put that 2 to 2.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Also, when they were going through the chase in the tour, when they were chasing each other, that music sounded very Jason X. I just got Jason X vibes.
I actually did notice the music in that section too. It did stand out.
Well, ladies, gentlemen, children, siblings, animals, this is the day that our 3 contestants in 15 minutes will fight for 50,000 smackaroos! I am really going to bring you out. They are going to have to play a game that they have never, ever played before.
New game?
In 15 minutes, you get to your station!
What? A new game? You didn't say there'd be a new game!
The big finale is this video game championship, and they have to play Ninja Gaiden as the first, as I guess that's the challenge, whatever,
the
thing to qualify.
Yeah,
a preliminary, thank you. Then it is revealed, of course, Super Mario Brothers 3. Now, it's been said, I know you said it too in your episode as well, with there is no way. I mean, I like this because it makes it fair ground for every player if it's a brand new game in theory. But the things that they knew, and even her in the crowd screaming about the warp points and the whistle, I'm like, how the hell you know? How do you know? You don't know, Haley. You're in the audience. Oh, yeah, get the whistle. Unless she was talking to those people at Nintendo Power and they told her some secrets.
Yeah.
The star! Jimmy, get the star!
I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, him knowing how to fly was... Well, I can only go by my own experience. This is why he's gifted, right? Like, he's intuitive to maybe just know some of the secrets. I would never have known to, in my head, be so anxious and in a rush to play for points, and for some reason decide to go behind the scenes and go behind the bushes to get the whistle. There's I don't know how he did that, but it is what it is.
That's the magic
they basically wanted to show you a lot of advantages in the game, right?
Yes,
Because there's no way it's going to be in the instruction book. So just remember everything that we're doing. These are features that you can do in the game. So that's basically what it was. But him knowing all that, fake. That's why I told you, since the Power Glove, fantasy.
Fake.
Before that, drama. After fantasy. It is a fantasy film.
That's the line in the sand.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, yeah. And I totally forgot to mention Beth Grant, our restaurant owner with her video monsters and her movie monsters.
Yes.
She has been in everything. I love that woman so much.
I got video monsters, I got movie monsters, I got graffiti on the wall monsters. I hate this place.
I always wish she had a bigger part in this movie.
I know.
Like this, yeah, like you're saying, like this woman at the restaurant that gives them life advice.
Yeah.
But also the term, Rob, video head.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are a gamer, you are a video head, I guess, back in the day. I don't remember that term.
Neither do I. I thought it was a very climactic scene with him, winning, the way that they filmed it and execute, everybody cheering and the family just happy.
Yes.
Even the two dads hugging each other. That moment was so cool to me. I loved, but it was just all like anticipated, like like just watching him trying to, down to the last second. All of that was filmed so well.
The crowd was eating it up. They acted like this was the best thing they've ever seen. They were watching the Olympics.
And well, that's the thing. Now video games are in the Olympics now. This is something that you can watch.
I still couldn't compete on these things. These gamers are the hardcore gamers, and the speed runners are insane. The things that these gamers know nowadays. Just while we're around this part, the original cut of the film was over 2.5 hours long, and it included an extended backstory for Jimmy and Corey. The deleted material is on the 2020 Blu-ray of the film, the collector's edition, which that actually might be really good.
I'm gonna order it. It's $15.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. I ordered it. Hopefully what I'm about to order has it, but you can go on YouTube and watch all the deleted scenes. It's over 30 minutes long. And
Damn.
I did watch them all. Guess who
did?
Yeah, guess who was in this movie? So Corey had 3 friends that he hung out with, and throughout those deleted scenes, you would casually see Jimmy slowly show his skill in video games, but he would never play video games in front of people. He would only do it by himself. So
Okay.
unless he was alone, you never saw him play. And so there would be times where he'd be at the arcade, here, you could play this, blah, blah, blah. But anytime Corey would walk away, that is when he would kill the game and then have all these high scores. So Corey had 3 friends, and one of them was Rufio.
Brad?
Rufio from Hook / Zuko.
Oh!
Yeah, he had a huge part in this movie.
And that was just part of those scenes that
it
were
was
just
part of
cut
the
then.
scene. So yeah, basically the backstory that was mentioned is you got to see more of the dynamic of the family and how they handled Jimmy. So they would find him randomly in town. And anytime Corey or Nick ran into him, they would take him back home because obviously he kept running away. But they would never associate themselves with Christine. And so he would just magically turn up home, but yet they never wanted to be like, hey, he ran away again, blah, blah, blah. So we got to see Christine's house. We got to see Jimmy's room and sort of the isolation of the houses and how they didn't want to like hang out with the other. And then we saw more of the dad go more into a alcoholic cycle where he was just in front of the TV. He didn't give a shit where his kids was. He was just like, don't get hurt, right? And we saw Nick steal the pickup twice.
Oh, so that makes more sense of why he's so angry over the car being stolen. then.
Yeah, all the time. So there was that huge dynamic with that. And then like once we got to the scene where they were like, oh, we're going to put Jimmy in a home, it was just more talk of them just being like, why don't you do something? And, so they dove into that a little bit more. And there was just a lot of interaction between Jimmy and Corey because Corey got mad at Jimmy for not like playing games and showing how good he is in front of his friends. Yeah. And then Nick and Corey would sort of have this brotherly feud with each other all the time too, with some scenes. But you got to hear Nick for his disdain for Christine a lot more in this one. So they took out a lot of scenes. And then I think Spanky had like 2 or 3 more scenes.
Oh, Spank.
Supposedly, it explained a little bit more about his dynamic, but he was a trucker with her dad, and they had a friendship, which is why she knows him so well.
You touched her chest,
I know.
or you touched her breast, or whatever.
So you touched her breast, huh?
Oh my God. All right. Let's not lose our temper. It's very hot.
Yeah, that's basically kind of it. Oh my God, the mom ended up walking behind the scenes of the tour to look for Jimmy, and she literally told the security guard, "I will go wherever I want." I'm like, oh, this is again fake fantasy, but when they go down the elevator. Do you remember that cage elevator?
That's where I thought he was going to end up in the
actual. So they went to a different floor, and the mom saw them. They had a huge discussion, and they had to convince her to let him play. So the fact that he's even on stage when the thing rises up is because she allowed it. So that was a deleted scene as well.
Did it make you like her a little better or no?
No. Because here's the other thing that happened. They leave the competition, and they actually film a scene where he's presented with the check, and the whole family's there, and then all of these kids are like rushing at him like he's a celebrity or whatever, and the mom gets super overwhelmed and was like, see, you think this all changed him for the better? No, you just turned him into a sideshow. And then they left, and then for some reason it just cuts to them going home in separate cars.
Is where we pick up then when they stop for California and the dinosaurs.
So
wow.
After they do the whole dinosaur thing and they're all sentimental about it.
California.
Just pull over. Stay still, honey.
California.
Would you pull over?
California.
They go back and they're like, oh, the kids aren't allowed to sit in the back of the truck because, it's illegal. And so Christine has a moment where she goes, Nick, if you want, you can ride with us.
Oh.
And I was he was like, we're not there yet, but some other time. Like, it was a moment to be like, I want to warm up to you. I want a relationship with you. So he tried to show gesture, and I love that. But I was like, it's too soon. Like, it's a long drive. I'm not getting in the car with the two of you. Hell no. So the kids end up sitting in the back, right? But that was a whole thing.
It actually sounds like this would have really expanded this movie then.
They really wanted it long, but there was barely any video game. Like, I think I kind of understand why it was taken out. Not to say that it wasn't needed, but I still got the emotional attachment from what I saw.
Gotcha. Okay.
The movie did not need to be that long. It didn't. But I understand, I read that they really wanted all of that family dynamic stuff in it. But to me, I still got the same emotions without it. So I was actually okay with most of these scenes taken out. But you would have got more in depth as to how this family was so separated from one another.
So speaking of things that might have helped the movie, of course, Robert Ebert says it's a cynical exploration film with a lot of commercial plugs. It's insanely overwritten and ineptly filmed. He later called it one of the worst films of 1989.
Of course he did.
Another Washington Post staff writer, Rita Kempley, wrote that the movie was tacky and plagiarized heavily from Rain Man from the year before. Okay, Rain Man is about, the brothers go on a trip, but...
And let's talk about how movies have never been copied or inspired from others.
Yeah, of course.
Let's go down that road, okay? Like, this is just a kid's version. Do you want them watching Rain Man instead? So...
to me, no. I mean, it's become a cult classic, Rob, and honestly, I think with good reason, because I think it's more than nostalgia, because there's clearly messages in this film that are still holding up.
For sure. Yeah, I totally agree. I think it has become a cult classic, and I think it is a good representation of the 80s, especially with video games and just kind of the massive influence it had. I mean, just the hotline scene alone of just gathering secrets, like that was a job you could actually do and get. And that to me was everything. Like, video games were important, and for sure. a kid who may not look like he's, has the potential to be anything. You just never know, right? And video games are not like a thing that'll rot your brain or turn you into mush or whatever the case may be. They are important for kids. So it's whatever. Unfortunately, the one thing that we will never ever know, unless it comes out of Jennifer Lewis's mouth herself, is what the hell happened to her after this movie was over. The only thing they gave you hint on is they adopted this girl and she just lived with them for the rest of their life. But we don't know what happened. So one of the things, she got adopted or, became sort of the sister figure of the one that was missing, right? That could be it. Or she took her share of the money as agreed and she went out and got a small place or a house. I don't know what you would get for $2,500, the grand, but she got the house that she always wanted for her and her dad or something. But we never know what happens. She just drives back with them to Utah. I'd be like, girl, I don't know you, but I guess because you helped out.
I wanted that too, Rob. You're right, because normally it would be like, who is this girl? Like, what are you doing with her?
She could have easily just went off and did her own thing and then they would visit each other or whatever. But what do you think happened to her? I tried to find it, but there was no answer. There was just nothing but theories.
I hope it's what you said, Rob. I hope she either... Although, I mean, the father, right? Like, I don't know.
She even gives him a hug. So, like, they're exiting the dino thing and he, like, grabs her and, like... hugs her on her, under his arm as if while they were walking out. I'm like, she's part of the family. She's chill. So
I hope so. I really do hope so because clearly they have a bond now that is beyond. Like she's punched him so many times, Corey. That now, but no, I agree. There's some kind of bond there. I hope that she stayed in contact. I hope that they split the money, like she said when she had the thickest Brooklyn accent.
Oh God, that stood out so much.
If I can get you to California and he wins, we split the money. Do you think I'd hang around a pair like you for my health?
Where the hell did that come from? Out of nowhere. We'll split the money.
I don't need you weasels, Don't act like you need me.
Oh, she was so... Maybe she was a little dramatic. So I hope that they stayed in contact. I hope that she bought a house right around the corner from them and they all moved to Universal. They all moved to California and Universal. Yeah. Radical Ones, if you haven't seen this, I really think it holds up. I'm okay if you're of the time. Like I said earlier, I don't think many kids... It just so happened to Rob's friend's kid actually enjoyed it. But I don't see many kids liking it. But I think it's really something. It's fun. It's dramatic, and it gives you those songs, like those you said, the montages alone.
Yeah, so good. I agree. I think there is a place in certain households that you can pass this on to a generational, sort of way. Casually watching it, I don't think it's a movie that needs to be seen. If you keep hearing about it, though, it is not the end of the world to watch it at least once. So that's what I'll say about it. Do it so you can be a part of the club. That's pretty much it.
Exactly. Do it if you want to know what it is, if you heard about it, if you've always thought about it, give it a go. It's not available streaming anywhere currently.
I mean, it is, but not for free. So yes,
right,
exactly. You'll have to pay for it. Yeah.
So maybe get that $15 Blu-ray that Rob
has
and
seen. Occasionally it'll go onto, a platform sometimes, but at the moment you would have to pay the minimum of $4 to watch. But yeah, not bad. Not a bad movie.
Add the 10 and get the Blu-ray because as we always say, these movies won't always be streaming and you'll never probably see them again.
Rob's recommendations.
Rob, along the lines, do you have any recommendations for us?
I definitely have some recommendations. Given the theme of the movie, we've got road trip, we've got kids, we've got sort of a buddy comedy sort of thing, we've got drama in the mix. So I've come up with some titles that sort of fit the bill, give you that same sort of feeling if you want a little bit of drama and adventure. So the first one is if you want to hear more than one word from Jimmy Woods, aka Luke Edwards, you can watch Little Big League. And this is where he, as a child, inherits or is given the Chicago Cubs, I believe. I think that's the team. But he becomes manager of a major baseball league. And everybody's got to listen to this little boy make plays for baseball, and he is the star. So I would definitely watch that. It was a favorite of mine as a kid, and if he's not the wizard, he is definitely the kid who owned the Cubs. So I recommend that. The next one, which was definitely branded as a comedy, but does have some very sentimental and family ties into it. It's Bingo, and it stars this dog who is from the circus. He's like a a trick dog or whatnot, but he gets abused by his owner, so he runs away, and then he ends up attaching himself to this little kid who is a football family, and they get drafted. So they have to go to, I forget, Green Bay Packers. I don't know where they go. It's sports. I don't know. Anyways, so they get drafted, which brings in the road trip part. So they move, and the kid's like, I want to keep the dog. No, you can't keep the dog. So they leave, and the dog is basically on this journey to get to the family, and he meets all these quirky characters along the way. It's so good, but it's so sentimental, and it's sweet, and it's funny. It's really good. Watch Bingo. I know everybody's all about Beethoven and Homeward Bound, but do not sleep on Bingo.
I was just going to say, Homeward Bound, it's like the opposite. This one, the dog is going to the... is traveling to the family.
So good. It is so good. It's so good. Anyways, okay.
I just Googled the cover and I haven't seen this in forever. And it says, the movie has a bona fide new star, Bingo, a sort of canine Macaulay Culkin.
I'm not joking. No, that is for real. Because this, the dog can do a lot, right? So it's so funny what this dog can do. And there's always a moment in the movie where either they're touching something or they make sounds with like a gas pedal. I don't know. But there's always a moment where somebody is mimicking the Bingo theme. And it is just, you when you catch it, it's just so funny. This movie had no business being so detailed. I love that movie so much. And when you're ready, I gotta
add it to the list now. Bingo
is so great. Okay, so again, if you do enjoy this movie, one that is almost exactly the same as The Wizard, aside from the video game aspect, it's Josh and Sam. I don't know if anybody's heard of this, but Josh and Sam are two brothers where the oldest one has this heavy, vivid imagination and is torn between his divorced parents. One of them is getting remarried, and so he decides that he wants to run away and go to Canada because he doesn't want to deal with all of this family drama. The only way that he can convince his little brother to do it is he convinced him that Sam actually is an acronym for him being an altered mutant like machine or something.
Yeah.
And that he was built to go to war in Africa. And he didn't want him to go to war. So he's like, there's a safe haven in Canada. We have to go there. And so you don't get sent to war. And he believes this. He believes his brother. And so now it's just this big adventure of them going from where they are to Canada. They end up stealing a car, which is, I guess, the bigger gimmick of the movie. And they meet all of these car, people. Right, aspect. But he keeps telling him of this fantasy that you're this, you're this, you're this, to get him to do what he wants. It's very manipulative, but they think their lives would be better outside of these drama-filled parents. This movie, again, while fun and very kid-driven, has a very heavy, dramatic story about family dynamic. And so you would definitely get the feels, and you guys might actually like it. It's actually pretty fun.
I haven't seen this poster since 1993. I'm looking at it now. If you remember right, it has like a red car on the cover.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember watching it quite a few times when I was younger. So let's say you didn't like The Wizard.
Rain Man.
I know, right? Rain Man would obviously be a thing. But, I tried to keep with the theme, and I came up with these titles. First one stars Sylvester Stallone in this movie called Over the Top. And basically it's another road trip movie leading to a competition, but instead of video games, it's arm wrestling. You get to see Stallone play a father. There's a big rig involved also. And the movie is memed to perfection in today's audience. So it's not like it's completely out of the pop culture zeitgeist. So it's around, but Over the Top is another movie that will still give you those 80s feels, but be a little bit more adult and a little bit more adventure or action.
So the crazy part is, I don't know if Rob even knows this. Do you know the big rig is actually the one that's in the movie is from this
Maximum
from Over the Top?
Yeah.
I saw that in one of the in the trivia on one of the things. It said it's actually the one from the movie Over the Top. So that's perfectly fitting.
Oh, from The Wizard.
In The Wizard, yes. When they pull up and they said you can even see the name of Stallone's character's vehicle on the door still. They kept it on there. So you were on point with this.
Look at that.
Damn.
The other film I wanted to bring up is The Cure. This is from the late Brad Renfro and Joseph Montezano, I think his name is, our kid from Jurassic Park. And so they, I believe, are friends. They're friends on this, right? And one of them has HIV, I think, or cancer, and they go on a road trip to find a cure. And this, oh my God, get ready,
sad.
Man,
so
get
sad.
ready. But the dynamic and the friendship between these two is so pure. It's so good. But again, it's kid driven. It's led by two young actors, and it's funny. It's well written. Again, it's very emotional. I think you'll get more of a realistic vibe than what you got from The Wizard. So this is a great film to watch if you like sort of that style. The last movie that I'll mention that's a little towards sort of the technology and geeky side of what you got from The Wizard, but more adult, is Hackers.
Oh, yes. Hacker. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Hackers will always be a great cult classic, but that is more computer-based.
Yes.
Just think if The Wizard was literally in teenage and adult, Hackers is it. Watch Hackers. It is so good, so fun. A lot of upcomers were in this movie. Lots of them. Yeah. So definitely check out Hackers.
Okay, so Rob gave you a lot of movies to view, and these are all great, and holy crap. That when you mentioned The Cure, these movies, so many I haven't thought of in so long. So good, Rob.
Thank you.
Man, we are kicking off this video game summer with a blast. This was a jammed pack episode, and I hope that you enjoyed this Wizard. Oh, and by the way, Radical Ones, after this month, the rest of the summer is back-to-back Radical Retro episodes. I'm sorry, Thundercats fans. You're going out with a bang with a big 5-parter to hold you over until September. But for Radical Retro listeners, we are doing movie after movie after movie, and this is the beginning. We just had to finish out Thundercats. So this is our little tease, and then next month, we're going video game crazy. Rob, where can the lovely people find you when you're not hanging out over here?
Rob the Movie Geek on Instagram. You can also look up The Unique Geek. Rob the Unique Geek, I think it shows up there. I sometimes will post movie review or other geeky-like stuff. And just follow me on there.
And the Radical Retro Rewind podcast, one word, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and beyond. And Radical Ones, we are still looking for reviews. If you have a free moment, we always use those reviews to help spread the word for the podcast. Going on, my God, we're going to go on season 5 in September, Rob. All these years, we would love more reviews. SOS Radical Ones. And thank you.
Thank you.
So, Rob, thank you so much. I had a blast talking about The Wizard. Please check it out if you haven't. We'll see you next time.
Yes, thank you for listening.
Bye-bye.
Here you go, updates. Nintendo game playing, this is Rick. How can I help you?
Hi, my name is Haley, and I've got a wizard who's going all the way to the championships in Los Angeles.
Is that so?
All I need is a little help. Okay, let's start with Simon's Quest.